It has been over a decade since a Republican won the governorship in the state of Virginia, but the race between former governor and Democratic nominee Terry McAuliffe and Republican challenger and former private equity executive Glenn Youngkin is tightening. The race is just over 2 weeks away. Democrats are aggressively campaigning in Virginia. First Lady Jill Biden made her pitch to voters Friday. Former President Obama will campaign for McAuliffe this weekend. For more on all this, I want to bring in CBS News political contributor Sean Sullivan. Sean is also the White House reporter for The Washington Post. Hi, Sean. So this race is being viewed as a testing ground for some of the biggest national issues we face. It is the first competitive election post-Trump. What is the state of this race 2 weeks out from Election Day?
Well, right now, Tanya, strategists in both parties agree this is a close race. This is a competitive race. If you look at public polls, what we've seen is McAuliffe having a slight lead, 2 points in one poll, 3 points in another. And so this is a race that both sides believe could go either way at this point. There's a lot of pressure on Democrats to deliver in this race because, as you mentioned, it's been a long time since Republicans have been able to win statewide in Virginia, not just these governor's races, but in races for Senate and other statewide offices. Virginia has been turning more and more blue over the past decade. You've seen population growth in the D.C. suburbs in Northern Virginia, and this has allowed Democrats to have a lot of success. But right now, this race looks tight. It looks like it could go to either of these candidates. And what you're seeing now is these candidates try to mobilize their base and also make their closing pitches to swing voters, moderate voters, undecided voters. And we're seeing that play out a lot on the campaign trail right now. And I think we can expect to see more of that in the next couple of weeks.
And Democrats are certainly bringing out the big guns to help campaign. Stacey Abrams campaigned with McAuliffe on Sunday. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms also stumped with him. She spoke to my colleague Lana Zach from the campaign trail in Virginia on Sunday. Let's listen to what she said.
I come in 500 miles to be here. It's not because I'm afraid. It's because I'm confident that I'm standing with the winner. We know we can't take it for granted, and we know that the margins will be close, but it's about us turning out and recognizing that democracy is a process. It doesn't happen in one election.
So, Sean, this is an off-year election. The polls are showing this is tight. So what's on the line for Democrats? Do they have to just motivate voters to get out? And how could Republicans benefit more broadly off of a Democratic loss?
Well, there's a lot on the line right now. I think Democrats see implications both in the electoral landscape as we move toward the midterm elections, but also in terms of their agenda. When it comes to the elections, a lot of the issues we're seeing play out in the Virginia governor's race right now, whether it's vaccine mandates and the pandemic more broadly, whether it's education, whether it's crime, whether it's the economy, these are a lot of the issues that are already being debated in other battlegrounds across the country. And so I think strategists in both parties look at this as a first big test of how effective the message from both sides is going to be as we move toward the midterms next year. Of course, in those elections, we're going to have races that could decide the House majority and the Senate majority on the line. So there's a lot of attention outside of Virginia being paid to this race. And I think that's why we're seeing on the Democratic side sort of an all hands on deck effort right now. You're seeing, a number of different Democrats from across the country descend into the state. We're going to continue to see that in the final days of this race. And right now, a lot of the Democratic focus is on energizing the Democratic base. That's why you're seeing figures who are popular with reliable Democratic voters like former President Obama, like Stacey Abrams. There is a particular focus right now in the McAuliffe campaign on turning out Black voters who could be very, very crucial in this election. On the other side, Republicans also trying to turn out their base, but trying as well to win over these moderate voters. And you're seeing Glenn Youngkin, the Republican nominee, sort of walk this tightrope, so to speak, where he is somebody who is supported by President Trump, former President Trump, and this is something that the McAuliffe campaign has pointed out. But he's also trying not to alienate voters who don't like Trump, and there are a lot of them in the state of Virginia where Trump lost by a lot. In the big picture here for Republicans, they feel like if they can win this race, this would be a monumental victory. This would give them a lot of momentum heading into next year. They feel like they're in a good position to win the House of Representatives, and they feel like the Senate is within reach. And they feel like this win, if they could pull this off, would really give them a boost going into next year and could set off some panic inside the Democratic Party about the midterm elections.
Sean, you mentioned earlier some of the issues at play here, some that have national resonance. Republican candidate Youngkin is making his final pitch to voters centered around education, which again is an issue that has national relevance. He wants parents involved in school decisions. How much is this education push resonating with Virginia voters? You know, we've heard a lot of push and pull between school boards and families kind of across the country on certain things lately. Could this issue lead Republicans to victory in the state?
Well, this has really become a central focus, especially in this closing period right now in this race. We've seen ads from Glenn Youngkin focused on education. We've also seen Terry McAuliffe and his campaign try to talk about this. What you're seeing now from the Youngkin campaign is an effort to tap into frustration that they think a lot of parents are feeling in Virginia right now over the state of schools, over the fact that schools were closed for so long during the pandemic last year, that there was a lot of uncertainty about that, anger with local school boards and anger that some parents have shown about what children are being taught. So it's very, very clear right now, if you look at the amount of ads, the number of commercials we're seeing, the amount of money that the Youngkin campaign is spending on this, and the amount of time the candidate himself is spending talking about this on the campaign trail, they believe this could be a key issue that delivers them to victory in this election.
All eyes closely watching this race. Sean Sullivan, thank you so much.
Thanks.